Hello everyone, welcome to this new part in the series. In this episode we'll be setting up enemy AI. So we're going to start off with a couple of other things actually. So first off, we're going to add some variables. So we're going to add 4. There we go. So first off, player. And this is where we're going to be storing the player, actually the player character, because in the AI, in the behavior, we want to refer to a global variable. In this case, we're prepared in case we're going to do any additional companion AIs, things like that, and then will be less of a setup. It's just future proofing basically. So next up, we're going to do player weapon, and this is going to be tied to player weapon damage differences. Again, something additional. Then next up, we need to set up player damage as well. And this is a string, by the way, apologies. Let's fill it in with the basic pistol first. That's our starting weapon. And the player damage should reflect that as well. So this is a starting weapon. The values, you can change them to whatever you want. I think this is a good starting value. Then we're also going to do enemy damage. We're going to set that to 3, so much lower, and that's because their aim is not that bad. So otherwise they'll just do too much damage. Again, this is also a bit of future-proofing setting. This is a variable, so we can for example, set up difficulty levels in our menu as well, which with a small formula we can alter these values, which is cool. We won't do that in this video, but we can do an additional video on setting up difficulty settings, for example, for the game. Cool. So we've got enemy damage set up as well. So we've got all of our basics now. So on the player, on start, we need this additional one, and I already created it, so let me remove it. So we need an additional action, and in that action we're going to do game object, global variable, player, and it's going to come from the player. So on start it will just assign the player to that variable, which is what needs to happen for the AI to work. Then next up we're going to be setting up trigger, on receive shot, I think it is. There we go. On receive shot. We're not literally creating them yet because I want them all to be housed in the same place. Just looks prettier. Then we're going to set up a new trigger health, and this will dictate the player's the receive damage as well as if he dies. So attribute change. There we go. So these will be conditions death. So attribute value player health less or equal to 0. Ragdoll. Wait 1 second, and group, and we're going to be referring to our existing fade, and we're going to be turning that on. Yeah, we can actually do it like this, and then timescale, so you won't see much of it. We can set this to 1 as well. But yeah, you won't see much of the player ragdoll, and then it will just turn to black, and we can set up some additional screens for that. And then timescale is going to be set to 0, so it actually stops all the shooting and things like that going on in the background. Then let's duplicate this, and this will be conditions health. If it's greater or equal to 0.1, then none of this. Attribute player health subtract global variable enemy damage. if you want to add some blood effects for the player as well, so not everyone wants that because it can be a bit much, but we could, for example, do instantiate from pool, player 0.5, and I'm using crypto for the muzzle flashes, but I'm also using crypto for volumetric blood. You don't need that. You can use whatever particles you want. Literally doesn't matter. I like these. They're pretty, and they also interact with the environment, so they'll actually interact with colliders, so you know the blood will actually fall on the floor and not just disappear or go through stuff, which I think is cool. Yeah, it looks really nice. We're doing instantiate from pool, so there's a limit to how much blood there can be in a scene, because otherwise it can be a bit much. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So the reason we're doing this beforehand is quite simply that we want to be sure that you know, all of these things are just set up, and then when we create the AI, it's actually functional. Cool. Then let's start off with the character. So character, now like I mentioned before, I am using a Puppetmaster for this. Couple of reasons. For one, that ragdolls are just better. I mean, it's the reason, you know, it's quite a dedicated asset just for ragdolls, so it's not surprising they're better. But also it allows us to do targeted damage on limbs. You can have, you know, if you shoot their hand, they can drop their weapon. I mean, that wouldn't be fun, but you can, you know, you could do that, or make them flinch or whatever. But importantly, you can also have different damage levels per limb, and then have you know, headshot damage, things like that. Now we are going to be using headshot damage in multiple ways, so we'll be using the stealth way and the normal way. So if we shoot the head in stealth way, it will just be one shot kill. During gameplay, I don't think that that's fun, because you're just spraying and you're not actually aiming for the head, or at least not trying to too much, and then it would also just instantly die. I don't think that's fun, so we'll just do more damage on the head, so it's still rewarding but not an instant kill. Yeah, which is, I think, is a bit too much in combat. Sweet. So this is it. Now the important thing, because we are setting up Puppetmaster, and Puppetmaster needs to be linked to a rig, so you need to set up the character model beforehand. So when we look at the character model here, we need to drag in one. I'm going to do this one. There we go. Perfect. Now the nice thing here is that you know, because this is Cinti, we still have the luxury that we can simply just swap meshes, so we don't have to do this all over again, which these are attachments, by the way, which is awesome. You don't have that luxury with a lot of different types of models, so meaning you will need to reset this up, the Puppetmaster procedure, every single time. That's at least one of the benefits of Cinti. Like, I'll be fair, you know, it actually saves you tons of time, because you can just swap meshes, because it's all about the rig. So really cool. Going to save us tons of time if you are using this. This is not exclusive, by the way, to this asset, POLYGON Military. Not saying all of them will do it like this, but a lot of them at least will. Maybe all, I don't know. Anyway, so let's set up Puppetmaster. Now, we need to start with the Ragdoll creator, biped Ragdoll creator. And as you can see, for some reason it doesn't assign this by default. Maybe it does now, actually. No, it doesn't. With the normal game creator character, it actually does. Let me show you that, because it's just super weird. Yeah, with this one, if we just add biped Ragdoll creator, everything is assigned. No idea why. It doesn't do that with Cinti. I honestly don't know. However, there's a workaround so that we don't have to manually do it. Let me get rid of this, so we don't manually have to do all of that. So we can just remove this on here, add it, and then as you can see, for some reason now everything is assigned. Copy component, remove component, and we put it back here. Now the reason we put it back here is because Puppetmaster will create a new hierarchy we'll create a new hierarchy. Really that simple, actually. And we need that to be done from the top, and not from, you know, the bottom. Another thing, we need to turn all of this off. We need to turn this off, because we're now using Puppetmaster for this stuff. Cool. Yes, the character controller still needs to be used. I'm actually going to make this smaller straight away. It always bugs me. It's way too, no, what is it, 9.5? 9. Yeah, something like this. I don't know why it's always too big. It's really annoying. Anyway, so all set up. Now we're going to create Ragdoll. And as you can see, we have the Ragdoll created now. Now, big difference compared to the Unity Ragdoll creator, as you can see, is that it does all parts of the limb. So we also have hands, we have feet, which for some reason the Unity one doesn't do. I don't know why. But we can also customize a couple of things. So we have weight here, which we can adjust. I think this is fine. You can add additional bones. I'm not going to do that. It's completely unnecessary in my opinion, but you know, if you want more realism, go ahead. And then we can have the overlap be a bit smaller, for example, which, you know, I don't know if that's necessary actually, but I'll just keep it like this. Fine. Actually, no, I'm just going to put it back to what it was. There we go. You can change if they need to be capsules or boxes, which is cool. You know, the Unity one doesn't do that. It's a nice addition. However, as you can see, the feet are wrong. That's not with the default game creator one does it right. Cinti-Rig must just be slightly different or something. That's fine. You know, we can adjust that later. If you want the joint range to be smaller, be a bit stiffer, you can adjust that as well. If you want to manually edit parts, you can do that here as well. Start manually editing. I have no interest in that. I'm happy with this. They don't need to fit perfectly. Your aim is not going to be perfect. So if you shoot like here, it's okay if you still hit it, in my opinion. I think the head is actually pretty damn good match. Yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, you can edit it if you want. Go ahead, just press manual editing and you're done. I'm cool with this. So we've set up the Ragdoll now. We haven't set up Puppetmaster. Big difference. And unfortunately, this is not enough. I wish we could just do it like this and just only do the Ragdoll. But we can't. We need to set up Puppetmaster now. So Puppetmaster. There we go. And as you can see, it will ask for a couple of things. So it will ask which layer is your character controller and which layer is your Ragdoll layer. And that means you need to add them. So in case you don't have them, I added them to 10 and 11. Can't remember why I did that. But 10 and 11. So that means that here I need to change this to 10 and 11. And then you press Setup Puppetmaster. And that's it. So now Puppetmaster is set up, and when we check, we'll actually notice that the entire character root is completely different. So we have, for some reason, we have all of this unused stuff is set up here, which is, you know, I don't know why. Yeah, that's all set up here. We have the hips as well, and then we have the actual character. Is here, and this is the game creator one. Now again, I'm not really sure why all of this is done separately, but I'm okay with that. So yeah, and then we have the root. All of those things are set up here, and this is our game creator character. So you know, that exists here. Then we have the Puppetmaster here, and we have behaviors here. Now I'm going to be using behaviors as well to store basically everything related to its triggers and conditions, things like that, simply because, you know, it's nice to have it all you know, together in a way. What we can do now that we have Puppetmaster here, as you can see, the nice thing here is that the biped, the Ragdoll basically is separate from the actual rig. and this is actually what allows us to you know, do our localized damage. No, that sounds a bit weird, but simply put, I don't know why this is done separately, but it's a godsend really. So yeah, we need to rotate these a bit, put them a bit up because they're wrong. There we go. And then move them a bit up. Did I leave grids on? Yeah, I did, my bad. And then rotate them a bit more. There we go. That's a pretty good match. So yeah, the feet need to be correct, so that's why we're doing this. And now we're going to do the weird thing, is we're actually going to select everything like this, and we're going to do this. And the reason for that is because if you're familiar with how the colliders work, and if you've tried this yourself with headshot damage, and you're like, why doesn't it work? Because if I shoot the head with 100 damage, put a trigger on that, or shoot the body, like for some reason always does the maximum damage, doesn't work. And that's simply because of the way hierarchies work with colliders. It's really annoying. However, because now this is separate, we can actually do it like this. So there's no hierarchy, they're all equal, and we can put separate triggers on everything. And you can have literally different damage per collider, just as much as makes you happy, really. So yeah, this is pretty cool. This is really important. This is a big reason why we're using Puppetmaster, but also simply because the Ragdoll is nicer. But still, it's a nice process. It's pretty easy to set up, and at least we have our you know, our colliders everywhere. No body part is missed, and yeah, it's a really complete and good quality setup. Cool. So now that that is set up, on the character, of course, we need some components as well. So we need stats. We need character. What is it? Shooter, character shooter. There we go. So don't choose player shooter. Use character shooter. I think that's pretty much it. I could be wrong, but yeah, let's keep it as is for now. So we've got the stats, which is important. Then on the behaviors, I'm just going to group everything here. So we'll do trigger. Again, this is going to be really similar to what we just did for the player. So attribute change, let's select a game object, let's drag in that character, health on change, and then we need some conditions. You can actually just do them straight away. Cool. Then we'll need triggers as well. Now here's the thing. We need, you know, damage triggers for all of this, so trigger, and then you need to literally do this for all of them. So receive shot, so not on the character itself, receive shot, yeah, it's a bit of work. Receive shot, receive shot. And yeah, you get the gist. Now, it's up to you what happens with every limb. You know, if you want to do it more defined, have different types of effects, you know, if you shoot different parts of the limb, you know, you can now have the liberty to do that, which is awesome. I am not going to do that. I'm going to limit it just to different damage for the head, compared to, and there we go. So I'm just going to do a different damage for the head. Everything else will just be the same. You know, I think that's fine. Again, if you don't want that, if you want something different to happen when you shoot other limbs, just add it to the actions. You know, that's a great thing now. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it simple. So we'll start off with conditions. Impact, actually, let's set those up first. So this is the normal impact, so what is going to happen. So attribute, value, game object, drag in that character, health, if it's greater or equal to 1, then we'll set up some actions as well, so actually, which happen in the background. We're going to do instantiate from pool. We'll use that same blood for. Oh, can't look it up like that. I think there's, where was it? It's the same one we use for the player. And then the location is actually, that is quite important. So we need to, where do we do that again? It's on the triggers here. So we need to store that position somewhere. So we can actually do that on the character itself. So we can actually on the character add some local variables, and we can do game, no, not the game object, vector3, and we'll call this impact. There we go. Then on these conditions, so we're going to do local variable. We're going to drag in the character. Oh, sorry. Drag in the character, and we'll choose impact. So where it's, where it's shot, it will receive the damage basically. Cool. It will instantiate the blood. Sorry. Then we're going to do attribute of game object, and then health. We're going to subtract, and the value is going to be player damage. There we go. And we need to do something else as well, which is actually going to be quite important. We need to add a bool here, and that bool is going to be spotted player. And this will relate to the behavior, which we'll set up in a bit, but just to explain the logic of this, let's refer to it first. Basically, we want the moment we shoot the enemy, he's going to be alarmed and combat will start. Because otherwise you'd just be able to kill him from a distance and nothing would happen, which is obviously incredibly lame. So yeah, quite important. Now, if you want, if you still want there to be blood when you shoot him after, if that's something you are interested in, then we can simply do this, less or equal to 0, and then we can add, there we go, this. So it won't do any of the rest, but it will still instantiate blood, if you like that. If not, you just remove this class. Cool. So yeah, that's it's quite a bit for the impact. And then now we just need to assign that to all of these. And there we go. So yeah, like I said, a bit of manual work. We actually still need to store those impact positions everywhere as well. Some more manual work. And yeah, if you want something else to happen, when you shoot his leg, make him stumble, whatever, you can now do all of that as well, but they need to be obviously separate conditions. I actually initially thought about if you shoot his hand, he'll drop the weapon, but it makes combat so boring actually, because you'll just shoot the hand and you can just finish them off. There's literally no fun in that whatsoever. Sounds cool, seems realistic, it's really not fun, because it's not that hard. You take an automatic weapon, you just aim for the arm, and one of the bullets will hit the will hit the hand, and that's it. So yeah, it's actually not that fun to do. So yeah, that's kind of the thing. That's why I don't know too much what to do with the other limbs. You could obviously do different types of damage, maybe. So less damage on, you know, on certain limbs. I guess you could do that, but you know, it's up to you. I'm just doing this setup to show you that we can do it. You know, obviously for the head, we'll want something else. Now, what we need to do with all of these as well is store. Store the impact position. So yes, we need to do that with literally all of these as well. It's really not that fun, but there we go. It's a tiny bit of manual setup, but that's okay. Cool. So obviously we need impact as well for the head. So we're just going to duplicate this and we'll drag it in straight away just so we don't have to go back here. There we go. Now for the conditions impact head, we'll need to set up two scenarios. So we'll have the scenario where you know, the player is the enemy has not seen the player. Now we already set up that bull, so that's going to it's going to save us some time. So we need to add that bull here. So that's you know, one of the conditions. So let's add a clause to the top. Bool, local variable, character, and that's why you can't use work with global ones, by the way, is because as you can see, it needs to be for every separate character. There can't be a global spotted in this case. So spotted player is false, so he hasn't seen, and we're going to still instantiate blood, you know, because that's cool. We can just copy that action. What am I doing? There we go. So we'll copy that action. The important here as well is that attribute value of the game object character health is greater or equal to 0.1. So that way these actions won't play if he's dead. I think it's quite relevant actually. Cool. Then instantiate blood, and we're going to simply subtract attribute. We can do this, and we're going to subtract a fixed value of 100. Now the fixed value here needs to be the same, or you know, this can be higher as well. You can do 1000, but as the health of this character, because you know, otherwise it won't work. We don't need to set up any ragdoll actions here. He's just going to be instantly dead. That's the whole point. His other actions are going to be the same. Now what we can do here to make things simple, you can also use formulas. I'm just doing this. We do double damage on the head at the end. Actually saves tons of time with additional formulas and you know, things like that. And yes, I'm aware we still need to set up those actions, so that's completely fine. So yeah, that's it, and we still have this clause. If it's less or equal, we can still see blood, you know, as well. So pretty basic stuff in a way. Now we need to set up what happens when he dies. And I'm just going to do new conditions because the other ones are getting a bit too full. Dead, death, whatever. Attribute value, game objects, character, health is less or equal to 0. Then we are going to method. Oh, yes, call method. There we go. Actually, we don't have to do that. So I'll link in the description right now. Completely forgot. There's some Puppetmaster actions. There's not that many of them, but some basic ones actually make life simpler. Link is in the description. It's on the Game Creator Hub, and basically you'll have Puppetmaster in here, and we have some options. It's not that many options, but it's enough. And we need to drag in Puppetmaster, and we just switch him to dead, and that's it. So yeah, actually that was cool. Pretty simple to do. Cool. So we've got the death conditions. Now we need to drag those in here, not in impact, in here. This needs to be death. So perfect. And then we're already going to set up patrol as well, now that we're here, so we can just refer to it in the behavior graph. So patrol is just going to be a set of markers we have in our scene that is relevant to this for this character. So let's create some markers. Actually, let's not do the markers yet. We'll do that in an instant. So let's just first create the conditions. There we go. Conditions, patrol. Invoker, see, what is it? Yes, there we go. Cannot see player. If he can't see the player, he's going to do this. Now, there's a couple of things here that are important to keep in mind. So for some reason, when using move to with the wait, so we are going to use move to, move character. Let's drag him in. If you do wait until arrives, it can actually cause some issues with him first finishing his stuff, and just really annoying. So we're going to do wait and just of 3 seconds. I know that's not perfect, so that means he won't literally arrive to that spot. Doesn't actually always hurt to do it like this. But yeah, this way, it can easily be interrupted. Now the patrol in this case needs to be from a list variable. So a variable list, and we're just going to do next. That means, yes, we need a list variable, variables list, there we go. List variable patrol, something like that. We'll drag that in, and it basically, it's just going to endlessly rotate. So, the character will just always patrol endlessly. We don't have to set up a bunch of things. It's actually quite a simple approach on doing this. And in the list variable, we just need to set up some markers. So there we go. So let's create those markers. I'm going to create an empty, just call it patrol markers. There we go. Let's add some markers then. Now these markers need a box collider set as trigger as well, otherwise it won't work because it's not recognized as a full game object without a collider at times. So yeah, small thing, but it's okay. And yeah, we just need to set them up somewhere. So we can set them up here. Honestly, it doesn't really matter wherever you want to set them up, it's fine. Here. Now the nice thing obviously is that you can have, because we're just referring to them in a list variable, you can use some of the same markers. You can place markers wherever you want, and then, you know, drop in your NPCs wherever you want and have them, they can share markers. Literally doesn't matter, which is pretty nice. So let's drag those in. Cool. That also means that I'm going to be dragging in the entire character root. Here, I'm going to have him rotate so he doesn't look at the player straight away. Maybe not fly. And yeah, there we go. Sweet. So yeah, he'll just, you know, walk between these and that's it. So yeah, really easy thing to do with patrol. Just drop them in the list, do next, and you know, this will play. So yeah, pretty nice. Now we need to adjust the Puppetmaster script as well. So we need to make some changes to the component. So first off, let's do the layer setup. This is a bit of you know, keeping it safe, and then there we go, terrain. So he's going to ignore for ragdoll collision with terrain, which if you have a terrain is something you need to set up. And then next off, we need to, let's have a look. Turn this on, support translation animation. Now if you see my other Puppetmaster video, the older one, you didn't have to do this. Puppetmaster got updated or Game Creator got updated. I'm not sure which of the ones is the reason for this. Basically, if you don't do this, it won't work. It will just be super weird. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Then on the character, like I said, it's important that all of those other things are turned off. Maybe it works with 4.k, I'm not sure. Let's actually give it a try. Let's see if this actually works at all. So he's not doing anything yet, by the way, so he doesn't have like an AI yet. So yeah, I mean, that seems to be working. Let's see if the damage is working. Where's the character? Oh yeah, we have the character already selected. So technically right now, because yeah, okay. So yeah, the headshot works. As you can see, the blood is really nice. It actually lands on the floor, attaches to the meshes even there. It's really cool. But yeah, as you can see, you know, shooting him in the head because he hasn't spotted us will instantly result in a headshot, in a death. I mean, sorry. And if I now go shoot his limbs, there we go. I'm getting up close because I'm terrible with mouse keyboard aim. Okay. As you can see, it's just 10 damage that gets subtracted and that's it. So yeah, and oh wow. Okay, so spotted is now turned on, actually, of course, once you shoot a limb. So as you can see now, the head does double damage. So yeah, pretty cool. Sweet. So those are all of the basics, so at least the whole shooting the character, all of that stuff is working, which is nice. Let's already add some additional ones here. In the behavior graph, I'll explain the rest of these. Well, explain, you'll see them work. And then first, and another exciting one is cover marker. because yes, they will be using cover, which makes it just, you know, more interesting in my opinion. Cool. So those are all of the ones we need to set up here. Obviously that means we need behavior as well, so let's add perception and behavior. So perception and behavior. Now I know this is actually the human viewing angle, I think. So these values are actually pretty realistic. Now in a game, this is way too much, because as you can see, I mean, come on, there won't be any fun here. So I'm going to reduce this to quite short a distance. Hell, this might even be too far. I was playing some games recently on console, and I noticed that in so many, especially like all of the Souls games, the range, so not their field of view, but their range, the distance is so short in Souls games. It's ridiculously short. But yeah, I think 15 is fine for now. We'll experiment, we'll see. But yeah, I think this is fine for now. But yeah, actually in so many games, vision is just ridiculously short actually. Cool. So we'll need a behavior as well, so let's create a folder for that. So folder for behaviors. There we go. Let's call what should we call this? Default enemy. It's not really an exciting name, I know, but it is accurate. This will just be the default. And cool. So we've set up everything pretty much related to related to the enemy, except for the behavior itself. Now the only thing we haven't set up, and I want to do that straight away, is actually those cover markers. So this is going to be really Gears of War-ish. It's so much easier in a city, by the way, to set up. Makes more sense. In open space it's a bit harder. I need some cover things. Barriers, I don't know where they are. Can't see any in the map. I think I must have, because I used them to set up, and I think I've deleted them all from the scene. Let me have a look. I think they were called barrier or something. Yeah, no, not those ones. They're too high. No. Ah, there we go. These are the ones. So we have 6. And those are the small ones. Sweet. Okay. So, yeah, these are actually the ones. I really got the impression I removed them all, and they're actually next to us. My god. Cool. So, let's duplicate. And we're going to set up some barriers. Now, I'm using this because one, it's not, they're not high enough, so we can't shoot over. Does this work? Yeah. There we go. They're high enough for cover, but they're not high enough, so they're not low enough so you can still just hit them over with ease, which is pretty good. So yeah, cover. We're set up one now with the marker, and then we'll duplicate that and move it wherever else, which does mean we need it to be separate. So we're just going to create a group out of that. Now we can just move around with ease. Cool. Minus 180. Want that rotation to be perfect. Cool. Now these cover markers are actually not super easy to set up, so there's actually a bit involved in doing this. So where did this marker go? Oh, perfect. So the important thing is, for one, you know, this is a cover marker. And there we go. But it needs to behave a certain way as well, because what we don't want is, you know, enemies to keep recognizing this as a visible marker while they're actually already on the spot. I know this sounds like a weird thing, but if you put them, you know, if he can recognize them all, this will always be the closest if he's actually standing on that. So we need something to basically avoid that from happening. So let's call this marker cover. There we go. So this marker will need a box collider. Yeah, okay, box collider. Set as a trigger, of course, because otherwise it would stop him. Then we'll need trigger. So tag, enter. Some actions. I'm putting them all here because it makes it easier to, because there's not that many actions really. And then a tag exit. And it does mean our enemy needs a tag as well, so let's give him a tag. I have enemy already. If you don't have that, just, you know, you have 3 markers: marker, enemy, cover. Just click the plus, create a new one. So yeah, we need these markers. So make sure to use those. Cool. Then let's go back to this one. So if the enemy enters, and I did not select it. Yeah, there we go. If the enemy enters, then something needs to happen. So we're going to wait 2 seconds, because if it happens instantly, it won't work either. There needs to be a delay. Then tag of the marker itself needs to change to, we can actually just use a default one here. I think finish is a default one. You can add whatever you want. It needs to be something else. Can't be untagged, doesn't work. So I'll use finish. Don't know why I have that in my tags. I think it's one of the Unity default ones, but that's fine. And then if the enemy exits, then it's going to change in 2 seconds as well to cover. So that does mean that by default it should be cover. Cool. So basically we'll set up the behavior to work in a way that the enemy is going to gather tags around him and goes to the closest one, because he should go to the closest cover to him. That's why we can't do a list variable. He can't just go to the next. Makes no sense whatsoever in combat. So he needs to get to the closest one, but we need to make sure that once he is there, so he actually, you know, is here, that this is no longer counted as cover, because otherwise when he needs to move cover again, which we're going to do in combat, he would just literally go to the same spot, which, you know, makes no sense for him to go to the same spots, because he's already there. So that's why it needs to be inactive as a marker the moment he's actually on the spot. Hope I explained that correctly, or if it's a bit confusing, we'll see it in action in a bit anyway. So yeah, so I know it's a bit of a weird setup in a way, but it all makes sense. It all makes sense. So cover. Now again, these cover, just like the patrol markers, they don't have to be tied to this guy. We can, that's the nice thing here. Gears of War style, you know, we can place them wherever we want in the scene. I'm not going to make this pretty or anything like that. It just needs to functionally work for now. It's all about functionality. You can do level design yourself. And yeah, there we go. So we have all of these covers. Player can use cover as well, of course, and he'll be switching between these covers in combat, or not if you kill him really fast. He won't have the chance, which obviously is kind of the idea. But it also needs to be working with distance. So if we are going too far from, if we're too far away from the enemy, he should come closer. If we get too close, he should go away further. At least that's how it works in Gears of War. I don't really know how it works in other cover shooter games, but it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Cool. So yeah, that's for the cover stuff. So now it is finally time to actually start on the behavior itself. Cool, so let's open this up and let's start. So obviously we'll need a root, a selector, and we're going to start off with arming him. And because we can just change meshes, you can create variations. I'm only going to set up one task, but you can create separate tasks for basically his class and things like that, which I think is pretty cool. So we'll set it up that way. So class, no, what is it, local string, yeah, there we go, variable string, invoker class, and we'll just do default for this one, or basic, let's do basic, and then we'll need to create a string here. No. Class, there we go. So now when we inspect the character, and we go to his behavior, which we didn't drag in yet, so we'll need to do that right now. Oh, we did. We have class, so we'll call him basic, and if we call him basic, then he's going to equip whatever is assigned to basic. If you add a task with sniper, for example, change the name to sniper on one of your NPCs, and he'll draw the weapons of a sniper. So yeah, it's cool. Then we'll use bool. I think we already set that up, didn't we? Let me just double check. No, we didn't set that up yet. My god, there's so many bools actually. So bool, and this bool will be setup. And setup sounds a bit weird, but it literally just means he's done with all of the basic stuff. So he drew his weapon, he has ammo, etc., etc. So setup false, and then the actions. So he's going to draw weapon, invoker. I'm just going to give him the two-handed weapon. Then he'll need ammo for that. Actually, let's change his ammo straight away. There we go. Invoker. He's going to use burst. He's going to shoot burst. I think that's more fun. He's going to shoot burst. Then we're going to give him ammo burst. There we go. Let's set the magazine straight away. So 30 is the default for the magazine. And then set storage. Yeah, I know. Insane amount of ammo. Basically, he won't run out. If he's able to run out, you're really, really bad at shooting him, or you just... I don't know what you're doing, actually. Cool. Let's give this a small weight, 0.5. You won't see this anyway, so that's why the weight doesn't matter. Once the scene fade is done, he will already have his weapon drawn. And then we're going to do bool local variable, invoker, and then setup. So now he's set up, so now we can proceed with the rest. So we'll need a selector again. So selector, and this one uses setup to be true. There we go. Another selector, and this is going to be spotted. So bool as well. There we go. Local variable, invoker. What did we call it? Spotted player. I'm just going to copy that just to be sure I do it correctly. And this is false. So he hasn't spotted the player. So what is he going to do? So task. Now this is actually going to be related to perception. So we'll have see invoker can see, not player. It's important. Global variable player. There we go. So he can see or he can't see. If he can see the player, then we're going to let me just copy this over. Assign bool to spotted player. If he really can't see the player, so he hasn't seen it at all, then we're going to call conditions and drag in. Oh no, we can't do that, of course. Invoker patrol. There we go. Wait to finish, and we need to refer to that game object patrol. And yeah, that's it. So let's refer to patrol. Where is it? Patrol. And there we go. So basically, nothing has happened yet. He's going to draw. We don't need to do any can see player here because this literally happens during the fade in we have at the start of 0.5 seconds. So none of this matters. This is basically when we start the scene, this is where the behavior will be at. So we won't actually see this happen. This is where the behavior will be at. So basically, if he hasn't seen the player, or if spotted hasn't been toggled, if he hasn't seen the player, he's going to patrol. If he sees the player, spotted is enabled, and we'll go to the next part. Now, if you remember, spotted is the state in which we can one kill headshot a guy because, you know, stealth. If we shoot his body, we're already assigning to spotted as well, and that's where we'll go to the next part. But before we do that, just in case I don't forget, let's actually set up what happens at the complete end of this. So attribute value, invoker, health less or equal to 0. We're going to stop the behavior. So stop. There we go. For stop behavior, invoker. We want this behavior to completely stop the moment he has no more health left. It's quite important. Cool. So now we can get to the next phase. So the next phase is going to be composite, and this is going to be a parallel one. So multiple things will happen at the same time. So we'll have first task. We'll have use conditions. allow. So we set up a, let's copy this over, it's just easier. We set up another bool, which is shot. So if shot is false, and aim, invoker is not aiming, then he can run. Property invoker can run, and aim invoker is going to aim at the target, and the target is the global variable player. So again, make sure you select global variable player and not the player itself. Then next up, we're going to add a random selector. No, I don't think. Yeah, of course we need is aiming. Is aiming. And we need 2 tasks and, well, 1 task and 1 selector. This task will just be wait. And this will be a sequence. And I know I haven't really used sequence that much before, but yeah, you'll see why. So we're going to wait. Oh, apologies. Should be doing task, of course. Sorry about that. Let's make sure this is disabled. I was already typing in my tasks. So first task, going to be wait, 0.5, burst, now shoot, weapon shoot, invoker, burst. I think the burst is 3 for our weapon actually. Could be wrong, but I thought it was 3. Then wait. He's going to shoot again, and then wait. So this is his, his default shooting pattern. So he's going to, shoot. He's going to shoot a bit, and then we need to change his state. Oh, no task. Why do I keep doing that? Layer 2. Cool. So just to explain a bit what this does, basically he's doing here what the player can do, so he can actually hide behind cover. However, with the player, obviously you have the input. For the AI, we need to create it ourselves. So that does mean that after he shoots, he'll go into cover. So it's really that simple. 3 seconds, he goes out of cover. Then we're going to add another composite, which is going to be a random selector. Which is going to be shot. And another one, which is the first we added as well. At least I'm sure we added this as well. So let's turn these on. Now this first, I'll explain that in a bit. So right now I can imagine that being a bit confusing, but it'll all be explained in a little while. Let's just set up these tasks. And then I'll go over all of the details and as to, you know, why. I think that's important to know why. Tag, there we go, nearest with tag. And apologies for being a bit quiet, but it's a bit complex, and I want to set it up first so it logically actually makes sense. Because yeah, it needs to make sense first, and then you know you'll get it in a bit. Because basically what we are setting up is you know, his behavior when he gets shot. But we need to keep in mind is that if he's getting shot, if it starts when he's not behind cover or when he is behind cover, there's quite a lot that goes into this. So I really want to set this up a bit, just so you know, just so I can properly explain what we're actually doing with everything. Default crouch. Cool. So we don't have everything yet, but just to give you some impression, so basically this is what's going to happen once he's getting shot when he's behind cover already. So that's why the first is there to make that distinction that he actually already moved to cover at some point. We're going to set that up first after. So once he's behind cover and he's getting shot, so you actually hit the enemy, he's going to randomly select what to do. So basically he's going to stop aiming and just hide behind cover, or he's going to stop aiming and he's going to move to a different cover, and you know, then it'll repeat itself. Now the reason we have this twice is because it shouldn't happen all the time. It shouldn't be you shoot him once and he'll he'll walk off to a different cover. So we need that chance to be slightly lower that this will happen. So it needs to seem dynamic. It doesn't, it shouldn't seem like this happens literally every single time. So yeah, that's actually it. So that's what happens. He'll randomly pick what he's going to do. If he got shot, is he going to hide behind cover and then just get up again, or is he going to be finding new cover? So hope that kind of makes sense. It will, and it will make more sense in a tiny bit. And then we need 3 additional tasks, sorry, for the next part. So we want him to change cover as well if the distance between the player is getting too big or too small. So both cases actually. and we need to set up that first, and that first basically means that he's you know, in his patrol, he gets into combat, he first needs to get to cover before any of this would take place. And then once he starts, you know, as you can see here, you know, once he starts aiming at the end, then if he's aiming, he's going to be shooting. So it'll make a bit more sense in a bit. So let's set up the distance first. Again, link in the description for the Game Creator Hub. There's this amazing distance custom action on there, which is just better than this one in every way, because as you can see, this distance only works one way, whereas this one you can literally you know, equals, greater than, different. It's a great one, also made by the Game Creator itself. It's on the hub. Link it in the description. But yeah, it's quite essential. It's such a good one. Anyway, so global variable player equal or less than 5. I think that's pretty fair. Then he's going to tag nearest with tag local variable invoker cover marker, and he's going to be moving. Radius 100, and the reason I do radius 100 is because you know, the distances can sometimes be a bit difficult. He's going to walk to the closest one anyway, but he needs to be able to gather a lot of them. It's just safer that way. With the mark cover, and he's going to move to that. I'm pretty sure we already have that move several times, so let's just do that. And then wait. Yeah, just to explain, the reason I don't do wait till arrives, it as useful as it is, it can cause some issues in behavior. That's why I prefer not using it when possible. Yeah, that's it actually. Cool. So now we need the opposite as well. So this is if he's too close to the player, he's going to move cover. If he's too far away from the player, he needs to move cover as well, because, you know, he can no longer shoot the player and becomes difficult for the player to shoot him. So greater than, we can do the his viewing distance 15. Yeah, we can do that. We'll need to try that out. I'm not sure if that's a good one actually, but it's okay. What we're going to do then is something a bit different. So we're actually going to have him move to the player a bit. And I know that seems a bit weird in a way, but we want him to move closer to the player first. Then maybe this should be 20, because otherwise this might be a bit long. Move to player first, stop threshold 5, sorry. Before he gets into cover again. So he won't just get to the nearest cover. He's going to traverse a bit of distance before moving into cover again. And then, yeah, it's just going to be a repeat after 3 seconds. And keep in mind, he's running here, so 3 seconds doesn't seem like a lot. Actually is. Like, he can do quite a bit of distance here. And there we go. So yeah, if he's too far away, he'll move to the player a bit and before going into cover. I didn't just want to do the closest cover simply because that's still not close. That's, you know, if you're already 15 or 20 meters away, the closest cover is still not going to be close, and he'll basically would be repeating this way too much. So first I want him to gain a bit of distance before getting into cover again. Now the big differentiator here, and let's sort this mess a bit. The big differentiator here is going to be that first, which is set up here. Come to think of it, first is actually a terrible name. It should have been something else. Anyway, it's fine. Just to be safe, we're going to destroy the local variable. So these are not the markers, just to be clear. The local variable patrol on him. I don't want those patrol markers to cause any issues with anything else. So his behavior of patrolling is just going to disappear. Might not be completely necessary, but to be on the safe side, I prefer doing that. Then he's going to... so he's patrolling at this point. We're going to destroy that entire thing. It's not going to happen anymore. He's going to find the nearest object with cover. Then he's going to move to the nearest object with cover. Yeah, let's do that 3-second wait. That does mean in your level design that they should never be too far away from what counts as cover, of course. But if you've ever played Gears of War, you know that's never the case. They're always close enough. And you can make a lot of things cover, by the way. It's about the cover markers, not about the meshes. So you can make cover of a car, of whatever you want. It's just about the markers, not the meshes. And then we need to assign bool to first is done. I think I should have named it differently to avoid confusion, but it's okay. Whatever. So yeah, the very first time that... let's sort this. So the very first time where... spotted player, there we go. It's a kind of a big miss here, apologies. Spotted player is true. So the very first time where we either shoot him or he sees us. First time, he's not going to do any of this behavior. That's important. So he needs to find cover for the first time, not do anything else. Then once he's behind the cover, if the distance is too great or too small, he'll move. Otherwise, if he's shot, he's going to hide behind cover. And if he's not shot, so if he's aiming, he's going to be shooting at us. Sometimes wait, and the reason for the wait is quite simple. If they always shoot without a break, it's just too difficult. You'll see it in shooters, they don't always do that. They'll move or they'll side jump like in Halo games for some weird reason. But you know, they can't always be shooting, so that's the important part. And if shot is false, so if he hasn't been shot, he can run and he aims at the player. Now that does mean that we need to set up shot. So you know, that's obviously kind of a big omission, something we'll set up. So that's it actually for the behavior. It's not that complex actually of a behavior. I try to make it as small as possible. So it's relatively simple, but it works pretty well. Then before I forget, actually, before we set up that shot, we do need to do that, don't get me wrong. And those were those actions I referred to earlier that I completely forgot about. So we need to set up player damage as well, by the way. Because it's easy to forget this one. Variable change, global variable, player weapon. There we go. Let's get rid of this. Conditions change damage. String. So if player weapon is the basic pistol, which it is at the start, then player damage is 10, and you get it. If it's The other pistol we did metal pistol, I think. Then it's going to be, I don't know, 12 and a half, 15. 15 might be, yeah, that's fine. 15. And then if it's the M16, then I don't know, 12. Weird numbers, doesn't really matter. You can change them whatever you want, but at least there will be some damage. Now we do need to set that up in our inventory as well, because obviously they need to, this needs to be assigned at some point. So on equip, do we have that anywhere here? No, we don't. And that's fine. So we can just add it here. We don't need to add it to our conditions. So string player weapon. This is, which one was this? This was the basic pistol. So basic pistol. On equip M16. And on equip metal pistol. There we go. That's it. That's actually everything. Cool. And now we just need to set up the shot. So we'll go to our character root, behaviors, impact. And we can actually put them here. Actions, shot. I know that seems a bit simple, but that's okay. They need to run in the background, so no way to finish stuff. Needs to run in the background. And then basically bool local. I think we have it here. Yeah, shots. Cool. Wait 2 seconds. And then it's off. And I think we have that in the head as well. Yeah, there we go. In the head as well. Perfect. Yeah, so you don't want this to wait, obviously, in the background, the wait to finish, because this needs to happen instantly. But it will happen in the background. So basically, on receive, on trigger for receive shots, these actions will play. The bool for, not package manager, the bool for shots will be turned on. So if shot is true and we did go through this first step, then he's going to either hide behind cover, or he's going to move to a different cover. If the shot is turned off again, which happens automatically after 2 seconds, he's going to aim. If he's aiming, he's either going to wait, so he's just going to see, or he's going to be shooting. And that's the gist of it, actually. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's go over it one more time. So if his health is 0, behavior is going to stop. If the class is set up as basic, then he's going to draw his weapons, all of the good stuff. Then next up, on setup. So if setup is true, then if setup is true, we'll do this. If setup is true, we have spotted, non-spotted. So if he hasn't seen spotted the player, and that's the bool, that's not the can't see perception stuff, then he's going to patrol. If spotted is, if he does see the player, spotted will be turned on. If he gets shot, even if he doesn't see the player, spotted will be turned on as well. So he doesn't need to physically see the player. If he gets shot, he'll go hide behind cover. And then for the cover, it's for the spotted, it's pretty simple. So if it's the first time, he'll find his first cover. Then if the distance is too big, he'll follow the player a bit, then hide behind cover. If the distance is too small, he'll just go to the closest next cover. If he is shot, he's going to hide, or move cover. If he is not shot, then he's going to aim. And if he's aiming, he's either going to wait, so just look at the player, or he's going to shoot. If you don't think this is necessary, honestly try it out first. You'll see that they'll just become killing machines because they'll always shoot at you, which is no fun. Again, I know waiting is not the most elegant thing. You could play a gesture where they're looking or shouting or something like that. But that's basically what you do here. So you could have a random selector as well, like a couple of gestures where they either shout or point or things like that. But you need a break. You need a break moment where they're not constantly firing at you. He's going to shoot, and once he's done shooting, that's why it's a sequence, he's automatically going to hide behind cover again. So yeah, it's that's actually it. So not the biggest behavior, but quite a bit of setup around that. So yeah, let's actually give this a go. Now let's double check, because I'm pretty sure I forgot to add the player damage conditions. There we go. Health. Perfect. And I also forgot to actually give the enemy a weapon. Because that's the thing, like for the player, you know, everything gets handled through the inventory, but the enemy doesn't actually have a weapon in his hands, and the shooter module doesn't do that, handle that for us anymore, as the inventory does it, meaning we still need something for the enemy. But if you remember correctly, for the enemy we needed to make some changes as well. So I've created a new prefab, and it's this one, and I'll drag it into the scene so we can inspect it. But I'll also look up yeah, there we go. So as you can see, we for the enemy M16, it's literally the same as the one for the player. There's no difference, so we drag in the player one. The only difference is that for the enemy M16, so we can literally replicate it now. So prefab unpack. I'll just call it enemy 2 so I don't override anything. This needs to become invoker. And then everything else, you know, everything else actually stays the same. So that's it, and then you save this as a prefab. And then on the enemy, let's have a look. We can add it here actually. Trigger. On start, yeah, we can do it on start. No, not actions, conditions, sorry. Let's get rid of these. Conditions, arm enemy, attach. Thought it was an attach weapon. There's no attach. Wait, I'm confused. I'm pretty sure there was an attach. Oh, it's an action, of course. Attach. My god. Attach, and then we drag in the character right hand, and we drag in this and the condition. No, not simple condition. The condition is going to be local, no, string, local variable, character, And class is basic. So if basic is true, it's going to attach that weapon all to 0, works the same. If you set up multiple classes, then you need to add, you know, sniper here and attach the sniper weapon. Cool. And then also on the character, he needs to not run by default. Small mistake on my end. Cool. So let's give this a go. Let's see if everything's working like it should. Cool, so he's patrolling. I'm just going to inspect him because I don't want to get too close. Okay, don't move that much. Wow. And he's not actually carrying a weapon. I saw that right? Okay, so why is this on start not working? Class is basic. That's his class, right? Basic. Okay. If we run these conditions again, I'm curious. Then it does work. Okay, so seems that on start is the wrong property to wrong one to use for that. So let's get out of it. Variable change, local character. That's interesting. We could also just do a different one actually. We're not going to do a class, we're going to do setup. There we go. Makes more sense. We'll do it like that. Seems a bit more foolproof because that actually changes, because I'm pretty sure the string doesn't change, so a bit strange that it didn't do that straight away, but that's okay. Maybe because the behavior doesn't work straight away, it could be. We'll do it like this. Yeah, and okay, he has his weapon. Awesome. Again, I want to warn you, I'm absolutely terrible actually with mouse keyboard. So I just want to shoot him. Okay, he'll hide behind cover. Oh my god, I'm so bad at this. Ah, of course. Makes a lot of sense. So his behavior is a bit okay, actually makes tons of sense. So his behavior is weird, of course, because we didn't nav mesh the area. So, so the behavior was working fine. Unfortunately, it's not nav meshed. And if we look at window, AI, navigation, we need to nav mesh this this terrain. Yeah, so unfortunately the nav mesh thing just takes way too much time. So I'll just show you how it works in a scene. I already nav meshed where its location is different as well. As you can see, it's all much tighter actually. So I'll play it here, and yeah, the nav meshing was taking way too much time. I don't know why, because often it's so fast, but for some reason in this project it's just taking really long. And just doing this one for the demo scene, actually I think it took a couple of hours maybe. It's really slow, really slow. Cool, so let's try this. Obviously the goal is to do that perfect headshot for the first one, which just looks awesome. Okay, Okay, we'll shoot him. He'll go behind cover. Maybe we should add run to the first time, because, and then I don't think I'm hitting him at all. Yeah. Okay, he goes to another cover, and well, you get the gist. And he'll switch again, and maybe the enemy damage was a bit too low, and maybe my spread on the weapons is horrible as well. Where's the meshes? The colliders of the meshes are too big. I don't know. Seems a bit hard to hit them. But yeah, I definitely adjusted the spread I did in the last video, especially for the M16. It just shoots everywhere, nothing on target. So definitely adjust that a bit. Because yeah, the spread is a bit too much. Really is not that faithful of an aim. And nice, good headshot. So yeah, that's kind of the idea. That's what we're doing with the behavior. So the localized damage, them using cover, obviously is a really big thing. Now the reason I didn't go for like a straight up cover shooter in general, like Gears of War, where you can just it's because I couldn't get it to work perfectly with Game Creator. Just didn't manage. I had some half systems, but wasn't completely happy with them. And then recently I started playing a couple of games that basically none of them had cover anymore. And you know, the cover just literally works like this. You hide behind it. And I was like, you know what, we'll do that, because yeah, more and more games started to do that. Obviously though, for the enemies, is they need to be able to use it to be a bit more of a challenge. Oh nice. To be a bit more of a challenge, because if you look at games like, for example, Halo, they'll also made with a behavior graph. They'll jump around a lot, which is fine for aliens. For humans, it just makes no sense. So you know, cover is the best alternative option. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one.